Okay, let's now define sine and cosine. We're going to define sine and cosine using our unit circle. A little later on, we're going to define it using right triangle trig, and in fact, you'll see that a little bit in my unit circle, but my initial definition really is the unit circle definition. So, suppose P is a point, and it's the point xy on a unit circle specified by an angle theta. So we're going to define the cosine, which remember we write as cos of theta, to be the x value of that point, and the sine, or the sine of theta, to be the y value of that point. So if we're on the unit circle, cosine is x, sine is y. I always think that's kind of nice because cosine comes first alphabetically before sine does, and x comes before y. So the cosine goes with the x, the sine goes with the y. So if I look at my unit circle, you'll see that I kind of drew that. And here's my angle theta, and it cuts out an angle. And there's my point xy, cosine's x, sine is y. For those of you who remember your right triangle trig, and this is a little premature, remember that if we're on the unit circle, the radius is 1. And you might remember sine is soka, toa type of thing. So sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So here's my right triangle. The opposite is y. The hypotenuse would be 1 because of the unit circle. So sine is y over 1. Cosine, remember we said, is adjacent over hypotenuse, for those of you who remember that. The adjacent is x, and the hypotenuse is 1, so we get the cosine is x over 1. But on the unit circle, you can just remember to yourself, cosine is x, sine is y. So now I have a number of problems I could find the value of. And so I've done that, and really all I'm going to be doing is reading off that unit circle that I had a few minutes ago, realizing that anytime I want a sine value, I use y, and anytime I want a cosine value, I use x. And so I did that here. So I drew myself my unit circle to make my life a little bit easier. And now here's all the values. Sine of 0, well, here we said is 0 degrees. Sine is the y value, so sine of 0 degrees is 0. Cosine of 0 degrees would be the x value, so that's 1. Sine of 90, so here's 90, is the point 0, 1. So sine of 90 is 1, that's the y value. Cosine of 90 is 0. Over to 180, so my point is negative 1, 0. So sine of 180 is the y value, that's 0. Cosine of 180 degrees is the x value, that's negative 1. Down to 270. So the point's 0, negative 1. So cosine of 270, cosine is the x, remember I switched it up this time, so that's 0. And sine of 270 is the y value, that's negative 1.